All right, so today is the day we are going to be bringing the first round of pigs to the processor. It's very early, sun's not quite up yet, and we've got Austin there in the background. He's going to be helping us out this morning. So we have, we're actually going to be filming a separate video on loading these pigs. One of the things that we had found pretty quick when we were trying to figure out better ways to get pigs loaded, chute designs and things like that, is it's very hard to come by that information. So we've got a few things that we've put in place we think are going to help us with this round, and we're going to do a separate video on it, just kind of detailing it for folks that are raising pigs and want that information. And we know that a lot of you guys out there probably aren't all that interested, but one of the things that we're struggling with this morning is Lori. She's pretty upset. So we're going to try to get this done as quickly as we can, and then we'll come back to you guys. We got the pigs to the processor, so it's went really, really well. We've got some video footage that we will have for you guys probably next week. I know we got a lot of you guys out there are homesteaders and farmers, and we got a lot of you that are just tree folks, which is fine. But you know, we've had a few of those videos that did really well because it answered some questions for people. I know it's answered some questions for me as far as loading these pigs. It went really, really well. So you'll see we've got a couple more that are back there. So we got 3 pigs left. Those are all Chester Whites, and they're the calm ones. So we've got chores we still need to get done here in the middle of the day. And we wanted to get a couple projects done with you guys as well, but I need to go ahead and get the manure cleaned out of the pig pen area here, and then we'll get to those little projects. Compost pile is done. I'll tell you what, it's weird. It's quiet. Just not used to that. Anyhow, so we got a couple things that we still wanted to get done with you guys today. I'm gonna kind of spin around. I want to show you guys kind of how the old pig area is coming in with the cover crops. We've definitely narrowed it down to basically just basically the 2 of the things that we planted that we know are going to be part of our spring/summer cover crops, and that would be the cowpeas, assuming we can get it in early enough, and also the Sudan grass. Both of those are doing pretty good. It's a little weak. Hey, before I forget, we are going to be having our monthly live stream Q&A next Saturday at 3 p.m. and we've kind of invested in some equipment that'll hopefully make that go a little smoother eventually. And we've had a couple people suggest maybe doing a podcast. We're kind of kicking around that idea, so would like your comments or suggestions down below on that. I've got some ideas on that, and I think I really want to make it so that it's a Q&A kind of podcast, so it's a lot of information. You know, we learned from you guys during those too, but I figured that'd be kind of neat to have something that is interactive in a podcast with kind of a live call-in kind of show going on. All right, so what we're gonna do, actually, let's go look at Lori.
Here you go.
You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
So Lori is, how are you feeling right now, sweetie?
I'm fine.
Okay, you were not fine this morning.
Well, no. It's all good.
It's all good.
I'm good now.
It's all good. That's just
It's just stressful. That's all.
Yeah, it is stressful. And I think we kind of are feeling like, now what? At least kind of how I feel right now. All right,
I feel like we need to just make a short day of it and relax.
Relax? Can you spell that? I don't know what that means.
Exactly.
All right, so there's a couple things we want to do. We need to get something planted in the winter garden beds, maybe even in the spring beds. But want to plant that with you guys. And there's one other thing. You guys know that we do the best we can to make sure that any animals, wild animals that come onto the farm, we want to make sure they have water. You know, we obviously compete for some of the things like, you know, our fruit and our veggies with some of these guys, but at the same time, we don't want to see anything suffering. So, you know, we have water out. So we've got 2 water tanks. There's one that's behind us here that's adjacent to the old pig area. And we have one in the far corner that's back at the end of the western orchard. That one got kind of blown around. We've got this one over here that's in the ground. And we have the one that's on the western orchard that actually was just sitting on top of the ground. We've had a lot of winds. It's really windy again today. And as soon as it gets fractionally low, it blows up. We had it kind of break into pieces. It's not holding water well. So we decided to go ahead and get another one. So these are just concrete mixing trays that we get from Home Depot. You'll see it right over here with Lori. And they do a really good job of holding water, and they're not expensive. But we're gonna go ahead and put this one in the ground. So we are going to be using the devil's tool, which is a motorized tiller, in order to break up the ground so that we can get this down into the ground. We're realize that obviously if we can get the water level lower, then smaller animals like those pesky bunnies can get to them. Also birds, which we wanna make sure they can get to them really well. And so we're gonna go ahead and put this one in the ground. All right, so that's one project down because Dwayne, being the type of fool that he is with trying to do too many things at once, went ahead and broke that concrete mixing tray. So we're gonna have to just go ahead and use the one that's out there and fill that up until we can buy another one. So at the very least, we can use the old one. So we've got a couple things that did not come out of dormancy. So this would be the first one. I think we pointed that out. That was the Nay Plus almond. That's definitely not going to come back. We have one of the persimmons back there that's done well, but then we've got this one here, and it has not come out of dormancy yet. I did the scratch test on it, so it definitely is still green. So that's where you just kind of scratch away the cambium layer. And you can see that it's still green right at the top. It's still green under that cambium, so I'm hopeful. The rest of the trees on this side, on the western orchard, came out. The other ones that we haven't seen, which is kind of a bummer, are the pecans. So we have 2 pecan trees that came out of dormancy and 2 that are definitely dead. Scratch test, all brown. There's no green underneath the cambium, which means you got a dead tree. So those are literally dead sticks. So we'll have to replace those. Unfortunately, I believe they were both the type 1 pecans. So all we have right now are 2 type 2 pecans that came out of dormancy. So we're gonna have to go back to the well on that this fall and see if we can find a couple more type 1 pecans to replace those 2. I think otherwise everything has come out of dormancy, which is great to see. Okay, so we're tired, although Lori's picking. What are you doing over there, sweetie?
Pulling weeds.
Pulling weeds.
I can't get this one.
I'm gonna need to borrow your gloves if I'm gonna get it.
Fine.
Okay, we're just gonna leave it. Wow, did you just say we're gonna be able to leave some weeds?
There's weeds everywhere.
I can't believe she just said that. You always want to try to get all the weeds.
There's no way I can get all these weeds.
Oh, okay.
But those big ones I try to get if I can.
All right, that's
when
fair.
I walk by them.
That's fair. All right, so we're gonna walk into the vineyard garden here. One of the things, you know what? While we're here, there's something else that I need to show you. You guys know that we have this vineyard garden area here where we're surrounded by grapevines in here with all of our beds, which we're gonna be working in just a minute. And across the back, we actually have Cabernet Sauvignon. That's the 10 that you'll see behind me there. So these Cabernets are obviously wine grapes. And what's amazing is these are on rootstock. Now, I forget what type of Paulson rootstock this is that Reed brought in for us, but he was very specific saying that it was a fantastic rootstock for grapevines. He just had a hard time finding them. These 10 showed up on the correct rootstock, and you guys have to see. As you can see, those are already trying to put on fruit. We just planted those a few months ago. So obviously we're not gonna let them fruit, but that is one of the things about grafted grapevines is they do have a tendency to bear fruit at a younger age. The rest of the grapevines have all come out of dormancy, which is great to see. And 2 of the 4 that we were a little concerned about as far as the roots when they came in bare root did not come out of dormancy, so we chose wisely there. Okay, so now what we need to do is we are gonna be working in those beds right over there. Those would be our fall beds. They're kind of in their final throes. We have several things that are bolting, which is what they do. What's really cool is we actually have some of the beets that are bolting, and that's the first time I've actually had beets fully bolt like this, so they're gonna actually give us some seeds. And what's nice is maybe we'll have some climatized beets for next season and on forward. So check this one out. You can see you still have some lettuce. Now that would be bitter as all get out if we were gonna try to eat that. We still have some carrots in here that we're gonna go ahead and harvest. They're tiny. We won't do that today. We do wanna let some of these things bolt. That was the idea behind this bed. You can see it's basically empty. Now we did plant some zucchini in this bed, and we want to make sure that we are giving some shade to the ground besides just where the zucchini is going to be coming up. And these beds we haven't really amended much, so we also want to make sure that we have nitrogen that we're building in the soil. So in order to do that, we're going to be planting these cowpeas. So we actually use these as a cover crop right across here where we have the pigs. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing here. Now, one of the things that we noticed with this particular crop is it's done much better as we planted it a little bit deeper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it down to the second knuckle on my index finger. So that's going to be just over an inch, right between 1 inch and 2 inches, I think. Either way, what I'm going to do is go through and just kind of randomly go through here, get some of these down into the soil, and then water it in nice and heavy. You can see what I do when I'm kind of doing that random planting is I go through and I poke the hole in the ground, I plant the seed, and then I leave the hole uncovered. Then I can look back and kind of see if I'm sort of evenly spaced, if there's any big gaps. I don't remember if I learned that from my dad or my grandpa. It might have been one of those two. My grandpa had a good sized garden up in Oregon, and I think he taught me that. But either way, I want to show you these seeds. So that is a cowpea, and you can see they look a lot like small red beans. And my understanding is you can consume these, they're beans. So, you know, you could use them dried. You can also eat the small bean pods. but you know, we've never grown them before, at least not all the way to full maturity. So curious to see how they do in this bed, and hopefully shade this out as these winter crops start to drop seed and shrivel up here for the summer, and then of course fix nitrogen in these beds, which is what we really want to do. So I think that's going to do it for that. And Lori's got lunch. My goodness, the day is half over. We finished up this bed. It's pretty cool. I'm going to take you guys down here to this lettuce. Check out this lettuce right here that's bolting. That's normally basically ground level, and here it is. It's probably, what do you say, sweetheart, about 2 feet tall or so? Foot and a half, 2 feet tall. So that one's definitely going to seed, which is cool. I don't mind having those. The lettuce was really, really good. But we also have, you can see here, we've got a beet at the end. That's going to seed. You'll see that right there. And then Lori said she found, and I know we've got some ripe beets in here, so we figured, you know what? While we're here today, there's a little bit of an eventful day. We might as well get a harvest in. Oh wait, besides mulberries, which we're gonna do tonight anyway. Yeah, you guys are actually watching that today too. So we've been harvesting mulberries every single night this week. And what do we have, 1.5 gallon Ziploc bag?
About that, yeah.
So we've got probably about 4 to 5 pounds of mulberries. Those mulberries are the ever-bearing mulberries, so they're really small. Now these were bigger. Some of them about the size of a quarter, which is really unusual. The old property, we had a 3-year-old tree and the berries were no bigger than a dime. So I'm hoping that, you know, the whole idea of climatizing those trees, like we were saying, came as air layers off that mulberry at the old farm. And so far, the fruit is fruiting in a year, loaded with fruit, and the fruit itself, the size and quality is just fantastic. And of course, you guys know I like to not have trees fruit in the first year, but I can't stop that one. There's hundreds of berries. Okay, what are you seeing in here, sweets?
Well, there's a beet over here that's pushing up out of the soil, so I want to pull it.
Go over this way. All right, now go ahead. Let's go ahead and use your muscles, sweetheart.
You want me to pull it?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Get in there.
And make sure I'm getting just...
There we go.
That one didn't do anything.
Got a really nice beet right here. So we'll wash that, see what it looks like when it's washed. We've got, what do you think? We got at least probably 1 or 2 that are close to this, right? In there still?
Probably, oh yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a good sized beet. So with beets, we like to juice those. So we juice every morning, and beets are actually really good. It gives the juice this beautiful magenta color and kind of an earthy sort of flavor. And you can usually tell when you have beets the next day. I'll just leave it at that. But they're actually very, very good for you. Okay, we wanted to get a quick harvest. We're gonna rinse this off, see what it looks like, and then as it gets even more breezy, we wanna actually go to the other side where we have all of our spring beds. We wanna prep those with some additional cowpeas. And this will be a good test. We have this side that doesn't have any cover over the seeds, and that side has wood chips. So we'll get a good idea whether that wood chip cover makes a difference as far as germinating these cowpeas this late in the spring, because we're definitely way behind. Definitely getting really breezy, so I wanted to show you guys this beet. So, you know, maybe not the biggest one on the planet, but it's beautiful red color. Hopefully you can pick that up. But I want you to look at this taproot. You can see the taproot here. And that's one of the things we've talked about before. So the soil that we have in these beds that came from Pioneer, definitely not really good as far as soil biology. There's basically none. We're cultivating some of it now, but the soil structure is really good. You can see just how deep that root was able to get. And so this thing is mining nutrients down into the soil, and you can see it had the ability to just form this beautiful, beautiful beet. And we're seeing the same thing with all of the root crops. The radishes were the same way. So soil biology, making that fertile is our job, but you know, having that foundation and that basic structure in the soil is definitely helping. Okay, so I think we got one bed done. It's midday, it's getting warm. Lori and I are physically and emotionally exhausted today, so I think we're gonna call it. Just a reminder, we have the live stream next Saturday at 3 p.m. Arizona time. Would love to see you guys here. I don't know whether we're gonna be out on the pasture or not. It kind of depends on weather. We may or may not, but it may be the last one outside. And would love to see you guys there. So as you guys know, any questions or comments, leave those in the comment section down below. And if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. You gotta hold it closer to the camera like they do with fish, so it looks even bigger. So you don't have your gloves on again?
They were on, but you obviously did not listen to me again.
Uh-oh.
I said, am I just following behind you and putting these in? You said, yes. I said, okay, then I'm gonna take my gloves off. It's easier to do this without my gloves on.
Were you walking away when you said it?
No.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
You just weren't listening again.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Well, maybe I heard it. There's a difference between heard and listen. Oh, heard is what buffalo do. So this is my beautiful wife. You guys all know her, right? This is Lori. She's a sweetheart. She's so kind and loving. She gets stressed out from time to time. She deals with me, which is very difficult. And one of the things about her is she's so sweet that sometimes things will happen and she knows that, well, he might want to know that. I don't want to make him feel bad or weird. So what did you just point out to me, sweetheart? Yeah. So I've got a booger right here in this nose. I have no idea whether or not you guys have been having to deal with this booger that's been hanging out of my left nostril. We're thinking that maybe you didn't. But if you did, I apologize profusely. Lori, are you sorry that you submitted all of these folks to a booger in the nose?
Wouldn't you rather me tell you now instead of it be there all day? If I see it, I'm gonna tell you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, back to work.